Yes, I believe that young puppies should not be crated 18 to 20 hours per day, although that is how much they should be sleeping. I want to offer a couple of disclaimers up front. Puppies who are developing normally and crate training are not my areas of expertise. I specialize in dysregulation, anxiety disorders, aggressive behavior, trauma, chronic stress. I do work with puppies, but when I work with puppies, it is because they are not developing as we would expect. And I cannot remember the last time I recommended a crate. I do have clients who come to me with dogs who are already acclimated to their crates, and sometimes we make use of that, absolutely. But I can't remember the last time there was a situation where we needed confinement as part of our management, and a crate was the recommendation I made. As I talked about in the last video, one of the main things we're focused on in behavior therapy is increasing agency. And often agency has to be restricted for safety. And agency is already naturally restricted because of just the way that dogs are in our lives as domesticated animals. They often lack a lot of agency, control over their lives, and we have to be very intentional about creating that for them. Agency is crucial to well-being, it's crucial for stress reduction, it's crucial for building resilience to stress. Sleep is also incredibly important, and many of my clients are indeed sleep deprived. And puppies up through adolescence generally need about 18 to 20 hours of sleep per day. But that does not mean that I believe young puppies should be crated for 18 to 20 hours a day. Here's why. So first up, dogs are social creatures, just like us. And believe it or not, sleeping can be a social activity. Sleeping as a social activity can bring comfort, it can bring connection, it can bring bonding. And especially when we look at young puppies who are sleeping with their mama dog, they're sleeping with the rest of their litter. And often we bring them home and expect them to suddenly be in a new place with new people without the only family they've known their entire life. And we want them to sleep by themselves, which is probably a brand new experience for them. And if it's not a brand new experience for them, they probably even more so need that comfort, security, and connection. They're babies. Now, this is not a how-to on sleeping with your puppy. I'm not saying you have to have your puppy in bed with you. I'm not even saying that you can't put your young puppy in a crate to sleep at night. I am saying that that's going to make your life probably a lot harder, although it may be worth the trade-off, depending on what you, the human, care about and the individual dog. But I would recommend that crate be in the same room that you are in, super close by. Some folks will even have the dog raised up so that the crate or the other type of confinement is at the level of the bed. They might sleep with their hand in the crate. I personally think that for puppies who need to get up every couple of hours to go potty all throughout the night, the easier thing to do is to have them in bed with you. But again, personal choice. So if we want our young puppies to be comfortable sleeping solo in their crates, we cannot start by just putting them in their crate by themselves. And then, of course, there's terrible advice on the internet around letting them cry it out. That is the opposite of how we build secure attachment. The second reason that I would not want my young puppy in a crate 18 to 20 hours a day, even though that's how much they should be sleeping, is because I want a puppy who can sleep under any conditions. Many of my clients are sleep deprived because they are hypersensitive to movement and sound. And I'm certainly not suggesting that that is the case because they were crated as puppies. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if we can set our dog up to be able to sleep through movement and sound, we are going to have a dog who can sleep and relax as well in a much more wide variety of situations. It's sort of like with human babies. If you've ever been around a human baby who sleeps through the chaos versus a human baby where everything was made very, very quiet so the baby could sleep. Now the baby needs very, very quiet. And of course, there's a ton of nuance here. Now, it's very important. There's so much nuance here. So it's very important if you have a puppy who is struggling to get appropriate sleep because of the excitement that is going on, because of the movement, because of the sounds, because of hyperattachment. The answer is not to have them just push through it. If that puppy needs a quiet place to sleep, if your non-puppy needs a quiet place to sleep, by all means, give them a quiet place to sleep. And if you're in a situation where it's very, very difficult to help your puppy get to sleep, if their requirements for being able to get good sleep are so great that it feels impossible or is very disruptive to your life, that can be a bit of a red flag and something we should check in on for sure. There's also a difference between putting your puppy in a quiet place to sleep where they do not have control of going in or coming out, and ensuring that your puppy has quiet spaces around the house that they can freely access. Those are two different things. And of course, access is going to change based on what is also developmentally appropriate and the individual dog. So again, a lot of nuance here. But in summary, I want my puppy to be able to fall asleep in different places with different amounts of activity going on. And again, that range, what's typical, normal, expected, there is going to be quite a range, and that's okay. For very young puppies, I am probably going to be looking at more of an X-pen type of setup. An X-pen can be a great way to introduce the concept of confinement, to keep the puppy safe, while also not limiting the agency of the puppy in the same way that a crate might. X-pens often leave plenty of room for toys and puzzles and different surfaces to walk on. There's room for play and eating and drinking. There can be multiple places to fall asleep in the X-pen. And X-pens can be used to create a pen, kind of like a larger crate space, or they can be used to just block off parts of the room or parts of the house that the puppy can't have access to. And how able we are to puppy-proof a space, again, is a very nuanced thing. Again, like with kids, sometimes the easiest thing to do is just to ensure that the space is a space that the puppy cannot harm themselves or harm anything else. So lots of options. Crates can certainly be an option, but I think that we have enough flexibility that we don't need to have a puppy in a crate 18 to 20 hours a day. Both when we think about sleep overnight and those developmentally appropriate social needs and needs for social, but also the security aspect, the feeling safe aspect. And then during the day, these are shorter bursts of sleep, and we ideally want the puppy to be able to regulate when they take them and where they take them. And again, different puppies are going to need different levels of support there throughout different developmental stages. I'll be honest, I have avoided talking about crates on TikTok for years. I will talk about behavioral euthanasia all day long. I think crating is a trickier topic. And that's because there is a lot of nuance, and because I think it's at least I think it's a challenging conversation to have with enough nuance on the internet in a way that doesn't shame and blame people. And my goal is never to shame and blame people. And often we are talking about harm reduction, which is a conversation that requires a lot of nuance. But here we are. Those are some of my thoughts.